Good afternoon, everyone. It's absolute pleasure to be here. Almost overwhelming. मैं एक ही चीज़ कह सकता हूँ कि मैं यहाँ ना ऑनश्योरिटी को बेचने के लिए हूँ ना किसके लिए हूँ. I'm just trying to bring a perspective that the new age India or the new age workforce might have from the employers. You know, we see that day in day out. मैं एक banking segment में था, एक अलग segment था. Now we are part of the startup ecosystem, which looks at India in a very, very different manner. And I think that's the breed of a workforce that every one of us has catered to. मैं जैसे हम स्टार्टअप बोलते हैं तो हमें कुछ शहर याद आते हैं इंडिया के, लाइक बैंगलोर हो गए, बॉम्बे हो गया, गुड़गांव हो गया. बट द मोर आई एम ट्रैवलिंग टू द tier 2 and the tier 3 cities, the startup ecosystem is very, very active there, you know. And हर एक जन का मैंने जो एक lineage देखा, thinking is very, very similar, because today with digital the exposure is very, you know, it's consistent. You cannot say कि आज एक बॉम्बे का exposure is very different from you know जोधपुर का exposure. So with that in perspective, मैंने कुछ हमारे thoughts रखे हैं. So please consider me as a representative of that workforce who's trying to you know put in some perspectives in front of all of you, and not as a preacher, because of course a lot to be learned from all of you, the way you have built businesses, and that's how I would take on and I would request everyone to look at some of the thoughts that you know I have put it across. So return on investment, I don't think so anyone in India understands better than this place itself, which is Bombay Stock Exchange, and the people associated with this space, with this place, as well as the businesses that are sitting here. तो अगर हमें एक return of investment का एक simple definition लेना होता तो popular profitability matrix used to evaluate how well an investment has performed. You know, the metrics can differ. It can be money, it can be brand, it can be you know human capital, whichever it could be, the appreciation, but it's a matrix of profitability. Correct? Next please. अब एक नज़रिया चेंज करते हैं. So return of investment, like I said, ROI बोला तो return of investment, we just keep that in mind. Now how about looking at it in a different manner? Can we just press next? How about talking to it as return on individuals? करेक्ट. हमने कभी ये तरीके से हम देखना शुरू शायद से अब तक नहीं किया है. नॉट इट्स नॉट अबाउट पीपल हियर, इट्स अक्रॉस एज अ कंट्री. वी हैव स्टिल नॉट स्टार्टेड टू लुक एट people and individual, and how can we get the best out of that particular individual so that overall ecosystem benefits from that progress. You know, so how about talking and telling ROI as the return of individuals, and that's a new way to define ROI. शायद से इस तरीके से हमारा focus रहे about you know building the right teams. Here's a short video.
One that goes beyond a bottom line. A return that speaks to a culture, that represents a community and reflects what a company truly stands for. The fact is, people are the essential component of any organization's output. People are behind the ingenuity, the products that are boxed and shipped, the reputation and growth. People have the potential to make any workforce a true force, which is why many companies today are thinking about the talent they have in a whole new way. And with this shift in thinking comes a new definition of ROI, a return on individuals. Today, successful companies are choosing to invest in those who, for years, have invested in them. The people who walk through their doors every day ready to embrace new challenges, ready to meet new demands.
Isn't that very relevant? We have all of us who are filled with people who have day in, day out given it to us. You know, it's now the time that we also start looking at how their families can also progress. And I'm not saying we have not taken care of those things, but now the requirements and the expectations are much more than the basic compensation. So are we ready as the SMEs of the new India to also embrace the workforce of the new India? And that's that bridge that we as Onsurity also try to cater, and there are loads of you know players in the industry from various segments who are trying to bridge this gap. So that's my definition, that's my way of looking of ROI, which is return on individuals. एक ROI का होता है तो मैथ्स किधर ना किधर आएगा, तो it's important, you know, that मैथ्स होना ज़रूरी है in ROI. You have 8 hours typically that a person works for 5 days. broad calculation, correct? That's about 40 hours per week. 15 minutes, or if 15 minutes is increased, per day, we are almost looking at 1.25 hours of additional productivity per week. That's per person. That's 3.1% extra productivity per resource, correct? Per team member. If we have like 100 member, we are almost looking at 125 hours per week of additional productivity. These are simple matrices that work in ROI building or return on individuals ka building up culture. Now the question is very natural that ये तो maths है, तो what leads to this 15 minutes? What can help in this 15 minutes? There are various aspects that goes into this 15 minutes. One is definitely your work environment, correct? The most common complaint, boss ठीक नहीं है, leader ठीक नहीं है, किसी को समझता नहीं है मेरा problem क्या है, correct? So empathy becomes extremely important in the new age work culture. So what's your environment all about? How have you built your structures? How are you recruiting people, correct? Those are the key aspects which build the core or the fundamentals of any businesses. Second is motivation. Naturally, we have pressures, we have timelines, we have delivery to be done, we have impact to be created. But in all of this, how do we ensure that the person doesn't lose focus and every Monday he feels like coming back to work? Correct? That's again a responsibility of all of us cohesively that we need to build. And the last and the most important part that we feel makes a role, and because this has the financial impact of that person himself or herself, is about their own health and wellness and the dependents' health and wellness. I think these are the few aspects. If we collaboratively work, that 15 minutes per day is not going to be a big challenge. And we have seen in a lot of companies, because a lot of time that gets, I mean not say wasted, but dwelled upon doing a lot of unproductive things. And we just have to ensure that out of all those minutes spent, if we can snatch, those 15 minutes from that employees per day, team members per day, it will make a huge impact. So, okay, now when we implement this, correct, it will not be the sense that kal se kuch change ho jayega, to kal se mera matlab I will be the best, correct? It's a process. It's an investment. Like we said, ROI is an investment. It's the same way return on individuals is an investment that you do. So I've just tried to break it up into smaller segments that, within a few months, you will have staff being more engaged, more collaboration within the team, because suddenly you started bringing parity, correct? Or motivation, or culture works here. Within 1 or 2 years, you start getting, increased staff ka health knowledge. Very, very critical to know where your teams are going, what is the lifestyle they are following, and what are the issues that could crop up because of such lifestyles. So there's a complete study available for such things, correct? Every company is starting to investing. We work with only SMEs, and trust me, people are really getting into such details and data points. Most important, improved corporate image. We all are talking about building brands for SMEs. I have been always working with the SME segment from the banking side and now from the health tech side. What are the important challenges the stakeholders are employees? Correct? Today, if you go to the bigger enterprises, people feel proud to work there and they go and talk about the enterprise outside. Correct? Naturally, they are more in number. The more people talk, the more brand is being made. Correct? Today, Tata, for example, if I have to take an example of Tata, not everyone has worked for Tata, but they all aspire to work for Tata. Correct? That is because the people who work for Tata talk about their culture, talk about this, disciplines, talk about the benefits. Likewise, why not we as an ecosystem build a culture where they start building the brand of the company? Correct? Because that's the process. It's not that only by putting ads or only by talking in events or doing awareness programs is a brand build. Employees are the biggest ambassadors, and somewhere we got to try and focus even on them. And of course, within 3 to 5 years, decrease absenteeism, and a lot of these studies can be done such that you have the impact of the real employee welfare program or employee return ROI programs on employees, the teams that you can come up with. So I'm not going to stay on this slide, correct? Because like I said, I'm not going to sell on surety. I'll leave with a video. All that I spoke, we tried to capture in our brand campaign, correct? Which is what I'll showcase. I'll leave that thought with you, and I'll be more than happy to deliberate, discuss, take insights from all of you so that we can benefit from your experience, and in return, as onsurity and as a startup ecosystem, we can get those insights and turn them into products and solutions which only benefit the company, the SMEs as whole, right? So I'll leave with that video.
प्लेस भी तुम्हारा और वर्क फैमिली भी।
वर्क फैमिली?
हाँ, तुम्हें दिखाता हूँ। कम। ये पूजा सबकी वर्क अम्मा, हमारी एचआर। ऑफिस में किसी को कोई भी प्रॉब्लम हो इनके पास ही आता है। वो मेहता जी अच्छे बुरे हर वक्त में साथ दिया, एक भाई की तरह। नरेश अकाउंटेंट, बिल्कुल बेटे जैसा।
आई नो, यू लव हिम मोर देन मी।
वो कोने में मुंह फुलाए बैठे हैं फूफा जी, हमारे परचेज हेड। और वो दो पीछे मस्ती करते ऑफिस इंटर्न, चिंटू और मिंटू।
और ये आपका सबसे ज्यादा ख्याल रखने वाला राजू, यानी आपकी वर्क वाइफ, राइट?
ख्याल तो आपके पिताजी रखते हैं सबका। मेरे ऑपरेशन के वक्त इन्होंने मेरी बहुत मदद की। सिर्फ मेरी ही नहीं, कई ऑफिस वालों के हॉस्पिटल के बिल्स भी पे किए इन्होंने। तभी तो सब इन्हें वर्क फादर बुलाते हैं। लीजिए सर।
थैंक यू राजू।
आप जब इन सबका इतना ख्याल रखते हैं तो इन सबको हेल्थ केयर मेंबरशिप गिफ्ट क्यों नहीं कर देते?
ईयरली पेमेंट कितना है, कुछ आइडिया भी है?
ईयरली नहीं, मंथली।
ऐसे ही बोल रहे हो कि कोई श्योरिटी भी है?
ऑन श्योरिटी है। सी।
अरे वाह, मंथली सब्सक्रिप्शन, कवरेज फॉर ऑफ-रोल स्टाफ, हेल्थ एंड एक्सीडेंटल कवर, डेडिकेटेड क्लेम सपोर्ट, सब कुछ है इसमें।
और यही नहीं डैड, आप खुद से प्लान चूज करके एक्टिवेट भी कर सकते हैं इन जस्ट 5 मिनट्स एंड नो पेपर वर्क।
हाँ, ये श्योर ही नहीं, स्मार्ट भी है, बिल्कुल तेरी तरह। हाँ?
आफ्टर ऑल आपका सन और वर्क सन दोनों जो हूँ।
On surety starts at rupees 145 per employee per month. अब health care सबके लिए।
So thank you so much, and we look forward for much more interactions and discussions with all of you. And thanks BLL for giving us this opportunity.